Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Demacian duel between the Shadow Mustangs Unleashed on the blue side and ImPerium Academy on the red side. It is the last game of the regular season here in the double round robin. In this group between these two teams, the winner will achieve the second seed in this group. The loser will be tied for third and face the potential of being selected by the top team, Dragons of the West, for that semifinals in the playoffs. Bringing you this best of three tonight, I am your Carl alongside Baymax.
Well, Carl, you always do our intros for us, and they're always fantastic introductions. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. We should be starting up pro draft pretty soon here. Oh, we already in pro draft actually. So got some picks coming through, got some bands coming through. Yumi taken off the table by Shadow Mustangs Unleashed so far. Caitlyn still available. A lot of those strong first pickable champions still available. Things like the Camille. Shadow Mustangs, they play a lot of Malzahar in the mid lane. That's not banned away yet. We might see a first pick come through for Ewok. We might also see a little bit of priority on a Nunu or an Olaf, or even, I think the Lucian was just banned away. No, Lucian's still open too. So honestly, Shadow Mustangs, they got a ton of strong champions they can pick right now.
Absolutely do. Merlin, a major practitioner of both Veigar and Malzahar.
That is not what I expected.
And honestly, that's kind of about it. The Scion in the top lane is a little bit too meta for Ewok. He's been enjoying some kind of off-meta situations. We had a Tahm Kench top, we had a Gragas top, we had a Cho'Gath. That's a little bit more meta, but Ewok kind of likes to flex a little bit. Maybe this will be the AD Scion that I've been kind of getting run at in solo queue with. Not a whole lot of fun to play against. We'll see. A little bit more standard on the side of ImPerium Academy. That Lulu coming through first.
Okay, the Scion is a pretty standard pick, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with the Scion, but it's a little bit weird to prioritize that for a first pick. The Scion is normally sort of like an answer to... He's just sort of a big, beefy top laner. You can throw in the top lane and you can forget about the top lane. Like, you don't got to worry about it. But that's not really, like, the style that I would expect from Shadow Mustangs, because you talked about it. This is a team that they play aggressive stuff. They play Kled and Mordekaiser and Rumble and Renekton and, you know... things like a Camille or a Fiora. Like, this is a meta that favors champions like that, and that's not what they drafted. And also, when you first pick the Scion, it means you leave those power picks available like a Lulu, and you also open yourself up to the possibility of being countered by a Vayne. Vayne shreds through tanks like Scion. She'll make him basically useless later on in the game, even if she is behind.
That being said, I am concerned for ImPerium Academy's draft right now. Picking this Vayne, Lulu, these are not the meta bot laners, right? Ashe is still available. Caitlyn is still available. These are both picks that could get banned away. I wouldn't be surprised to see Caitlyn and Ashe both hitting the chopping block in the second ban phase, but Ezreal's still available. I think they kind of push themselves down a lot in the priority pool just to get this favorable matchup into the Scion. I'm not sure how much I love this. Malzahar also with the ultimate on Vayne could be very, very strong. You have the Olaf that can run her down. I like SMU's comp so far, and I like it even more because it is so comfort, right? Malzahar is the main champion alongside Veigar for Merlin. Wokian in the jungle. Olaf, big practitioner of this champion. We've seen it multiple times. And I feel sure he's going to be fine on the Scion. This guy plays everything up there. So far, I like SMU's draft a little bit more, I think, just because of the fact that these players do play these champions.
I think you're right. And the Vayne is a little weird to me because, I mean... Valencia plays Vayne, right? He's a fine Vayne player. It's not like ImPerium can't play Vayne. But like you said, the Caitlyn was open. He's been practicing that. The Ashe was open. Ashe is his second most played champion this season, behind only the Kai'Sa, which was banned away. And Ashe is really strong. Ashe is that sort of quintessential Caitlyn counter, which, by the way, SMU could still pick Caitlyn. It's still open. They haven't picked the AD carrier. It just got banned, actually. Just got banned by ImPerium. They could have still picked it. It was still on the table. That was something that ImPerium may have had to have dealt with. So the Ashe would have been strong there. I do like the Olaf pick, but I can't help but wonder if, given the fact that ImPerium did show their hand bot lane with that Vayne, if picking up the Caitlyn might not have been better than picking up that Olaf, because Caitlyn she has her way with Vayne, right? That is a matchup that is quintessential. It's just legendary. It's infamous for Vayne players just the world over. It's so bad.
It's not pleasant. The Lulu helps it a little bit. I don't think the Caitlyn here necessarily would have been stronger than the Olaf. I think the fact that Ashe is still available is quite strong. You could go for Ezreal as well if you want to scale up a little bit. I'm very puzzled by the Kled ban. Maybe ImPerium Academy thinks this is a Scion support. That would be spicy. I don't think it'd be very good, but it would be spicy. Coming through SMU, they'll have to show their hand here with these last couple of picks. The Kayn in the jungle for ImPerium Academy. I think this is a comp that's just a little bit disjointed right now. They don't really seem to know what they want to do, and they also don't really have a front line.
Well, Ewok is the top laner. He's the top laner for Shadow Mustangs, and Shadow Mustangs he has played Scion like pretty good amount in his recent match history. So I don't know, the Kane locked in though for Imperium. That's a bit more unorthodox. I haven't seen too much Kane recently, Carl. What do you think about that?
I don't like it here at all, really. I think he's going to get run down by the Olaf. Sure, he can like go through the wall, but a lot of times he's already gone through the wall when he takes a fight. So the Imperium Academy team, they don't have a front line. Sure, Ross and Renekton, they're both semi-tanks, but they're against a very strong team fighting team. SMU has put together a fantastic 5 versus 5 team fight. Zyra Khan, massive damage. Olaf running through the backline. Malzahar one-shotting a target. Sion, big, beefy tank right in the front. I like this comp a ton for SMU. The Imperium Academy team, they don't really have a tank. I think they're a little bit disjointed. Vayne's not a big team fighter. She, thrives more in those duel situations. The Kane, if he's going to go Rost, what's he really going to do against the Olaf? He's just going to lose that fight. I think it's just a comp that doesn't know what it wants to do with itself.
I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. I want to highlight the Xayah pick as well for SMU because we, for those who don't know, we just recently moved to patch 10.17. Yesterday, I think, is when that patch ended up dropping. So we had some changes hit the Rift. One of those changes was a Caitlyn nerf, which would potentially explain a little bit of the lack of priority on Caitlyn. I still think she's strong. Still think she's worth picking, but Xayah got buffed. Xayah got buffed a pretty significant amount. Her AD growth stat per level went up from 2.9 to 3.5, which means that you're getting 0.6 AD more per level, which sounds like not that much, but it ends up giving you what about the value of a longsword, maybe a little bit more over the course of the game. That's a nice chunk of change, a few hundred extra gold basically for every Xayah player every game. Like, that's not bad. That's something. And Xayah is a champion that wasn't in that bad of a spot anyway. She's always been sort of good with Rakan, especially, which SMU did manage to pick up the Xayah Rakan. She's a very safe AD carry that has a lot of agency. She can make a lot happen by herself. She's not as reliant on her team as a lot of other AD carries are. And looking at the difference between these comps, I want to highlight also, shifting to Imperium Academy, you mentioned a lot of bad things going on here, a lot of criticisms you had of their draft, and I definitely agree with that. However, I think if this game goes to late game, especially if the Vayne gets ahead, in my mind, it's all about this Vayne. If the Vayne gets ahead, I think SMU do not have a lot of great answers, do not have a lot of great ways to deal with that. They do have the Malzahar ultimate, they have Rakan grand entrance across, which like that's all fine, but you pick up a QSS for the Vayne, you get her scaling, you get her doing some damage. Like, Vayne shreds Olaf, Vayne shreds Sion, Vayne outscales Xayah, Victor outscales Xayah. The scaling options that Imperium Knights have are insane, especially factoring in the fact that they have a Renekton to sort of carry them through the early game. Probably from the top lane, Imperium Knights will have pressure with Flaming Thunder on that Renekton. They can look to maybe get aggressive, make some things happen. I am sort of playing devil's advocate because I agree with you. I like SMU's draft a lot more. I think it works better in a lot of ways, but there's definitely certain win conditions that Imperium Knights have, or Imperium Academy have. If they make it to that late game, they get the Victor online 3-4 items, get the Vayne online 3-4 items, or if they just get Flaming Thunder popping off early on the Renekton, they can definitely make stuff happen.
I agree. I think your points are very valid, Baymax. I just think they require too much time that I don't think that the Shadow Mustangs are going to be giving away. But I do agree. I think, late game Vayne, of course, anything can basically happen with that. As for the buffs to Xayah, I had actually forgotten about that when I was raving about Zyra Khan. I think Zyra Khan is going to become the premier bot lane duo on this patch. Rakan has received a lot of buffs. Xayah with that extra buff, that's an extra 3 or 4 AD at level 3 and 4, especially Caitlyn got 2 AD, and that was part of the reason she was a lot stronger in lane. Xayah basically getting 2 AD at level 3, now level 3/4. So I think it will be meaningful. I think she'll do more damage. Just overall, you'll see her go up a little bit in priority. I think with Rakan, he's received a lot of buffs to his mana regen, to his movement speed on his ultimate. I think this champion is actually very underrated in the support position alongside Xayah. I think the win rate of this duo is a lot higher than their individual win rates because they gain so much from each other. I'm very much looking forward to see what this new duo can do against one of the other strong bot lane duos, which is that Vayne Lulu. The shield on Vayne's back can do a ton of damage, and basically bridges Vayne's laning phase a little bit more because she can put out the punishment. I think Zyra Khan will be able to stand up to it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we don't have to wait that long because we got the countdown going through here, and in just a few seconds we're only gonna have to worry about that spectator delay. So we'll talk a little bit more about these drafts. I want to talk about the Malzahar. Malzahar is a bit of a unique pick. We don't see that much in competitive play, although it has recently been getting a little bit more attention. I just watched it picked up in the Cloud9 FlyQuest series on the LCS. We've seen it also, I think, grow just a little bit grow a little bit in popularity just generally in competitive, and it is a champion that Merlin plays quite a lot. And I think specifically against the team that is so reliant on items to scale, like what ImPerium have drafted, the Malzahar pick is very, very strong. Because basically what the Malzahar pick does is, with that ultimate, that suppression that lasts so long, Merlin can pick anybody and say, you don't get to team fight this fight, I'm going to stop you from doing that. And so what that means is that ImPerium Knights, or ImPerium Academy, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Knights, ImPerium Academy's carries have got to all buy QSSs, right? If Kakari and Valexia and maybe even Jaywalker or Blaming Thunder don't pay their Malzahar attacks, if they don't get that QSS, they are probably going to be losing these fights. They're going to have a really hard time team fighting. They're going to have to play so exquisitely, so perfectly well to make anything happen. You basically have to buy that QSS, which means that you are forcing scaling champions to delay their scaling even longer. When, like you said, already it takes a Vayne and a Victor so long to really come online, to really start being relevant, especially with Vayne. She really needs 2 or 3 items. You're delaying that second item, that third item by so much. That's by 13, I think it's 1300 gold, roughly, somewhere in there. That's a long time. That can be a really long time. That's as much as a BF sword. Like any AD carry player knows, sometimes, especially if things aren't going very well, it can be real awkward to try to get a nice reset off for a clean BF sword. Like that can be very difficult.
It's really hard. A lot of times with the QSS, this way you end up going for the null magic mantle. That doesn't do anything. Then you go back again for the QSS. You've used 2 recalls on this item. It feels really bad in your build path. Where do you fit it in, right? You know, if you have 2,000 gold, are you buying a Zeal and a null magic mantle, or are you buying the QSS and a dagger, right? And either of those really feel that good. Your heart's saying the Zeal, but your brain's saying the QSS. It's very complicated. We're going to have to see that come through early, though, or I think Merlin is just going to rip these players apart. Without the QSS, of course, Cleanse does not work, Mikhail's does not work. That's the only way you can get out of this ultimate. And if you're not out of it, you're not doing damage, and they need this Vayne. They need this Victor to be putting out the maximum amount of damage if they are going to win this game. So we'll see when those QSSs do come through for ImPerium Academy, but I do think that they are imperative to their success. We're going to step aside as we load into game number 1. We'll be right back after a short break on Summoner's Rift. Welcome on to Summoner's Rift, everybody. We are ready to rumble with this game, although there is no rumble in it, so that kind of brings that to a little bit of a halt. But it looks like we're starting out with a standard 5-point. Merlin's in this game, Baymax, and he is the master of the level 1, so might see some spice from him. Right now he's sitting at his inner turret. That could be a really big brain strat. Looks like he has come back to that outer turret. So nothing to see here. 5 points across the map. Jarl Carl alongside Baymax.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Merlin, our resident Malzahar player right here, he is he's the mastermind behind Merlin Mondays. He's a caster with us, so I'm sure you might have seen him around. If you haven't, give him some love. He's a great
Check
guy.
out Merlin Mondays. Yeah,
check out Merlin Mondays. Be here for those streams. It's a good time. He's a good caster. It's always a good time. It's always a good time with you too, Carl. I appreciate the introduction as always. Thank you so much. We got like you said, Shadow Mustangs Unleashed versus ImPerium Academy, and these teams are duking it out in Demacia, 2 to 3 records on each. Really trying to step up and claim. I might butcher it. What is it? Second and third place?
They're playing for second seed.
Playing for second seed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Playing for second seed. That's all that matters. That's all anyone cares about, right? A little bit of an interesting start coming through here. It looks like Wokian is starting his blue buff with no leash. So Shadow Mustangs are trying to make sure that they don't reveal where this Olaf is, which Jaywalker is also starting his Raptors with no leash, but that's a little bit more standard for a Kayn because Kayn is really good at starting Raptors. He clears them by himself just fine. Olaf, a little bit less standard to see no leash come through, but he's certainly a champion that is capable of clearing leashless. I'm curious to see what Wokian ends up doing, or if Shadow Mustangs can get anything done with that little bit of extra map knowledge. I think it's pretty important, right? Because we talked about it in draft a little bit. ImPerium Academy, they're probably going to be on the back foot for most of the early game. They have mostly scaling lanes, not necessarily going to have a lot of pressure, especially when you factor in the jungle matchup, Olaf versus Kayn. You would expect to see Shadow Mustangs Unleashed be the team that wants to get the most proactive. They're the team that's sort of on a timer, that's trying to make things happen. And as I say that, we see Green Ninjas trying to make something happen with a grand entrance in the bot side of the map. Not quite making it happen, but I like the proactivity. You see level 2, you get that level 2 advantage, you hit it first. That is what you got to do. And what it means is that Shadow Mustangs, they have that bot lane pressure, which you would expect, right? The push advantage in favor of the Zyra Rakan. And Wokian is sort of pathing down towards this bot side, getting his red buff just as the Scuttle Crab is going to come online. We're seeing a beginning of a setup for Shadow Mustangs to sort of fight over that Scuttle Crab, contest some bot lane pressure. Maybe Wokian can get a little bit ahead of Jaywalker here.
Potentially. Should be finishing off all of his camps at around 317, walking through the Tribush. Seems to be the standard-ish Olaf time, at least that my jungler was putting down at UW-Madison last year on the Olaf speed run through the jungle. But yeah, should be around 315, 317, meeting in the bot side with Jaywalker. Just a little bit ahead in camps right now, right? He's cleared all of his camps, has those 6, clears very quickly. Didn't even need the leash, too, so... a very, very efficient jungler. He might contest this crab. Merlin's walking over as well. I think they might just be a little bit too late. That did go over in favor of a Jaywalker getting over the wall, but the flash could follow through. Yes, it is. Wokian coming in with the undertow. Oh, he's going to miss the undertow. More of an under miss on that situation. Wokian walks away disappointed.
Ooh, that probably would have been a kill, but I mean, you can't be that disappointed, right? He still ended up getting that Scuttle Crab picked up, so a little bit of a lead over Jaywalker. And Wokian, because he got that Scuttle Crab, forced Jaywalker out of his own jungle, burned his flash, is probably going to be able to get that other Scuttle Crab as well. So setting himself up for a double Scuttle, which is not an insignificant lead, right? Even though he didn't get that kill on Jaywalker, he's still going to be feeling the effects of that one. Although the top lane Scuttle Crab is a little bit more perilous for him to try to fight over, right? On the bot side of the map, Slick Drake and Green Ninjas, they had pressure, they had the push advantage. Top lane, not so much. Ewok has been getting bullied a little bit. Now, he does technically have the push advantage right now, but it's really just because Flaming Thunder is freezing on him, and that could change lickety-split if it needed to. But you know what? It's not going to happen because Jaywalker doesn't need that pressure over Scuttle Crab. He's not going for it. He's going for those Krugs instead. Just going to pick up his normal jungle camps, and Wokian is going to secure that sort of double Scuttle lead as Merlin gets a little bit cheeky, places a nice deep ward to try to catch Jaywalker out. I actually want to talk about that. This ward that just got placed by Merlin, I'm not a big fan of it. You place it at the red buff. I think a much better ward location would be closer to those Raptors that Jaywalker is currently taking. You place a ward about between the Raptors and between that mid lane corridor, right next to that wall, and it can see the Raptors. It can see if Jaywalker moves from red buff past Raptors towards his Wolves. and it can see if he walks around his red buff into the river for an invade or for a scuttle crab or whatever. It just sees more information. Otherwise, that red buff ward that got placed is not all that useful. I'll stop talking about that because we got a dragon on the map getting picked up here by Wokian, by the rest of Shadow Mustangs. They are wisely taking advantage of all that lane pressure they got in the mid lane and the bot lane to set themselves up for a free early dragon. Just as that ocean dragon spawns, it is just as quickly taken away. Now Wokian might be looking for a gank bot lane here.
Don't think he's going to find anything here. A nice little gold lead has opened up for ImPerium Academy. I'm not entirely sure why. I think this is mostly off of the top lane farm. He's about 400 gold. Yeah, that's where most of that lead is in the top side. But I think a relatively clean game so far by the Shadow Mustangs. Nobody's gone down. They've been able to, get the flash out of Jaywalker, force him out of his jungle, get that first dragon for themselves. I think they're doing really well so far. We saw a couple of missed blade callers in the bot lane that may have led to a little bit more against Valencia and Emmy. They were able to push out from their tower off of that slight inaccuracy. So I think that's helped them out a lot. But Slick Drake and Green Ninjas as well, the BF sword in inventory now, they're coming back to lane. And I think this could be quite scary for this Vayne Lulu very shortly.
Yeah, we'll see. That's the hope, right? That's the idea. I got to have the Rakan in the next few minutes hit level 6. I keep talking about how Shadow Mustangs, they have that stronger early game. They have the ability to take that initiative and look for fights. A lot of it stems around the bot lane, and especially around the Rakan and just around ultimates in general. I'll hold that thought. I think we might see a dive top lane.
May see one of those dives coming through. Merlin, that is the ultimate used. This ultimate from Sion at the same time. Beautiful teleport. Flaming Thunder just too slow to get out of dodge. He goes down.
And just as I was starting to talk about how big these ultimates were, Merlin hit level 6, that Nether Grasp available, a nice teleport to the top lane to save Ewok, that chain crowd control from the Nether Grasp into the unstoppable onslaught coming up big. That's first blood over to Shadow Mustangs, blue side, exactly where you want it to be. The kill onto Merlin as well, meaning he's going to have a little bit more gold in his pocket, going to be doing a little bit more damage. Looking bot lane, a grand entrance from Green Ninja. Looks like not going to be a lot of follow-up there.
Yeah, Blade Caller just goes a little bit wide once again. Valencia able to get away from that one. And there's no ultimates available. I think if Slick Drake and Green Ninjas hit level 6 before Emmy and Valencia, I would like to see the full commit straight away. I think they're much, much stronger. If you can get the one-shot combo onto Valencia, you could be taking them down. A lot of damage from the quickness plus the Feather Storm from Slick Drake. It's a big cooldown to expend, but I would like to see them go for that play. I think has a very high chance of succeeding. And I imagine they are ahead in XP as well. They're up about 10 farm. They've had a lot of a push, so I would imagine that is pretty close. We're going to see a fight in the middle. Kakari has to get himself away. Nether Grasp not available. Flash used. Trying to trade back with that Chaos Storm. Undertow goes back for a bit of a slow. Jaywalker a little bit too far away to influence the fight.
I hope the ward was worth your flash. You did save the control ward, Kakari, but gonna be a lot less safe in the future, right? This is an immobile mage in the mid lane. Now no flash, no ghost. Kakari has got to play very far back in any more fights, and Wokian still looking for a fight. We are almost seeing a level 6 on Green Ninjas. I want to talk about the point you just made, because I think you're 100% right. When Green Ninjas hits level 6, definitely he should be using that ult, but it probably shouldn't be just him and Slick Drake. They can probably look for a 2v2, but I don't think they should have to. I think you mostly want to look to set up a dive, maybe. You rotate Merlin down with Wokian, use that Nether Grasp before anybody gets a chance to build a QSS, or you can look for a fight around Dragon. It won't be that long before the Dragon ends up spawning. The first Dragon was taken almost exactly on spawn, so it'll be about a minute and a half until the next one spawns. That'll be, not too long to wait on those ultimates, as a Slick Drake and Green Ninjas did both just hit level 6 off of this wave. There's a lot of options available for Shadow Mustangs, but I think, one of the worst things they could do is get a little bit too over aggressive, like what might be happening right now.
I don't think that was over-aggressive. That was just kind of a flop. Now they might be getting over-aggressive. That's the final hour pop by Vayne. They're going to go in for the fight. Jaywalker has arrived as well. Featherstorm up for Slick Drake, trying to get themselves away. That's a nice Blade Caller. Somehow doesn't find the route onto Valencia. Has to get themselves away. The flash and the tumble as well. Very aggressive on the Vayne. That is what you want to see, picking up that kill. Meanwhile, 13 Green Ninjas, she has nowhere to go. The flash continues the grand entrance over the wall as well. This could actually get interesting. She may escape this play. Doesn't decide to take the blast gun, going further into the jungle. Maybe just trying to flip the script on ImPerium Academy a little bit, but that was a very botched play in the bot lane. The ultimate didn't really find anything. It just kind of fell apart.
Yeah. Top lane.
Yeah. We're back to fighting Baymax. Wokian picking up the kill on the top lane. Kakari just an onlooker as his top laner goes down once again.
Referencing that bot lane fight, It was like everything went wrong, right? The micro, the mechanics was not good, but just the idea of picking that fight at all, I think was a flawed one. You're getting something for free on the top side. Woking was taking that Herald. He did take the Herald. He got a kill. He's probably going to drop the Herald to get a bunch of turret plates. You're getting a success, a lead in the top lane. You don't have vision control on the boss side of the map. You don't know that you're safe. You don't know where Jaywalker is. Like, you shouldn't feel pressured to fight for no reason right now, right? There's not that much to gain and everything to lose from picking a random fight. Even if the mechanics had been played perfectly, it still probably wasn't a great idea. And so Slick Drake and Green Ninjas, I think they just got a little bit ahead of themselves. But luckily for the Shadow Mustangs, that wasn't the only bright spot on the map for them, right? Like we said, top lane, Herald was getting picked up by Wokey, and a lot of turret plating gold going over, a lot of pressure on the top lane turret. So going to be a pretty strong Olaf. Found a successful gank onto Flaming Thunder as well, putting that Renekton in that early game win condition for Imperium Academy even further behind. And now with Dragon, the second Dragon spawned on the map, it is still Shadow Mustangs who have basically total control over the spot half of the map. They just need to make sure that Merlin is there, and they just need to make sure that Wokian is there. And right now, those boxes are both checked. Check, check. Merlin's there, Wokian's there, ultimate's available, everything's fine, everything is dandy. That's the second Dragon of the game going over to the Shadow Mustangs.
I do want to be critical of Wokian for his use of the Rift Herald. We saw him just drop it top to kill the first two plates. I think that is extremely inefficient use of that. You want to be using the Rift Herald to break a tower. You're going to have it for many more minutes. He dropped it at 10 minutes. He still had it for, 2 or 3 more minutes. Use it on the map, get a push going, and then drop it to break the tower. When you break the 2 easiest plates, you're not getting anywhere close to as much value as if you're breaking those harder to kill plays. Gonna have to hold that thought. Fighting the bot lane, coming through. Green Ninjas going in. Nice engage by her. Emmy trying to get themselves away. Wild Growth still available, as well as the flash, but that is the Ragnarok in from Wokian trying to go for the play. Wild Growth may not have enough to keep them alive. It will not. Emmy going down. Valexia, nothing to do but watch as her support gets killed.
Yeah, now Valexia, no heal, no flash against the Zyra Khan, might be forced to back off of this turret. Give a couple turret plates, providing a good opportunity. Just like you were saying, imagine if the Herald was actually still available for Wokian, and this would have been potentially a better usage of it with only Valexia on the spot half of the map. Could have maybe looked to push with that. Still though, definitely a strong win picked up for Shadow Mustangs. If I had one criticism of how the Mustangs are playing so far, I think it would be that I feel like they haven't been getting as much use out of this Malzahar ultimate as they should be able to. We've seen it used, I think, once to a lot of success. It hasn't been used since. Get this guy out of mid lane, somehow get Merlin to this bot lane. If you get him here for these ganks, you can abuse the heck out of that ultimate before QSSs are purchased. Even if you don't go bot lane, even if you can't get Merlin out of mid lane, if the wave clear from Kakari is too much, that's fine. Guess what? Kakari hasn't had flash for the last 5 minutes. He's about to have it back up, but you have a flash Malzahar mid lane and Olaf in the jungle. If you have ultimate on that Malzahar, that Victor should be dead, right? Flash ultimate from Merlin into Undertows from Wokian, and he's just dead. There's nothing he can do. What is a Victor going to do to answer that? So maybe a little bit of misplay so far from Shadow Mustangs, not utilizing all of their tools as effectively as they could be, but still, I think they're doing a pretty good job controlling the map, a pretty good job of playing around their ultimates, around their abilities, around the objectives on the map available to them. There's no arguing that, right? They took the first Herald, they took both the first Dragons so far. So 3-1 kill lead. Gold gap, not big, about 500 gold separated these teams, and looking top lane, Jaywalker might be about to try to kill back here, forcing the unstoppable onslaught out of Ewok. He will be okay for now, but I think both teams are probably not too terrified of where this game is. I think it's still a pretty close game.
Dominus goes down. Ewok just trying to bait Flaming Thunder in. Slice has come through. We still have the dice available. Undertow onto him. Ragnarok is available as well. The flash away from Flaming Thunder not going to be enough. Wokian just cuts him down. Jaywalker now has to get himself out to a bit of safety. Umbral Trespass is available if he needs to go into that one. Undertow just going to hit him on the backside on the way out, down to about 5%. Wokian, a ton of damage coming out of this Olaf.
Yeah, 3-0 now. He's got his warrior picked up. He's got a phage as well, although he is face checking into Kakari. He's going to go down here. Shut down onto Jaywalker. Kakari might look for more.
Yeah, Ewok as well has to get himself away. Merlin, no response to this. I think you maybe could have gone for that if you'd seen it coming a little bit earlier. Flash from Ewok. Kakari now under the tower. One more laser could be enough. Is it going to be there, though? Is it in time? No, it's not. Ewok cuts him down under the tower.
Okay, because Ewok didn't need him, I think maybe Merlin looks like 200 IQ save the teleport, but I still think you're right. I think he should have been there. He's a Malzahar. Malzahar is pretty good at roaming. He had the teleport available as well. but he is taking this turret basically for free.
Oh, it's gone.
Kakari died, ended up burning both summoner spells, and Merlin is going to get that mid lane turret. That's first turret of the game. That's a decent amount of gold and a lot of objective control going over into the pockets of the Shadow Mustangs, especially since, you know, this team is putting so much emphasis around playing for that dragon control, trying to open up the middle of the map. Ooh, a dive. Yeah,
that is the flash that you wanted to see, Baymax. No chance for Valencia to do anything. Emmy, the same fate belongs to them. A double kill in the bot lane. That's exactly what we wanted to see.
So, my bad. I'm not transitioning to that fight. I didn't even realize what was happening. I was too wrapped up making my point, but that was actually exactly my point, is what just happened, right? Merlin gets that mid lane turret. He has so much more freedom to roam around the map and impact it as he wants to. He ends up using that freedom to go to the bot lane, get a nice dive off onto Valencia, find that nether grasp, find a kill. Not only do the Shadow Mustangs pick up a kill, but they get the turret as well. And dragon spawning on the map, which means, you know, so many, what was that? 2 kills over in favor of Shadow Mustangs, 2 turrets in favor of the Shadow Mustangs, and they're going to get vision control, vision priority over this dragon, the 3rd dragon of the game. This is the beginning of the pressure for the dragon soul, right? And right now, it's just ImPerium Academy totally on the back foot. They're still waiting on completed items for Valencia. They finally have the perfect tech score for Kakari, but he's still a pretty long way from being a strong team fighter. And here we go. 3rd dragon started up.
Flaming Thunder taking down so low, no dominance either. He will not be a factor in this fight. Ewok could teleport down. I think the Shadow Mustangs need to just start this dragon off. The ultimates are there except for the quickness. They do finally go onto it as ImPerium Academy has to back themselves away. We are on pace for a 21-minute Soul Baymax. Great control with the Mustangs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the gold gap is finally starting to you know, create itself as well. We're seeing about 3,000 gold separating these teams, which for a long time, it just felt like despite the objective leads that were being gained by the Shadow Mustangs, there wasn't any bit of a gold gap materializing itself, manifesting itself. But now there is about 3,000 gold separated these teams. That's not too bad for a 16-minute game. And all 3 dragons, the first Herald picked up, second Herald probably going to get picked up as well, started up here, I think, or I'm assuming. Nope, Green and just not going to
plot twist
just yet.
Sorry, I cut you. I was just trying to agree with you that we weren't.
Sorry.
We weren't doing the Herald, and Baymax thought I had something interesting to say. That's not true. And yeah,
well, what happened was I accidentally, there's like a knob on my keyboard. I accidentally turned my volume down, so I couldn't really hear what you said. I assumed that you were saying something important, so I just stopped. But I didn't really hear you. So
okay. No, nothing important. I can keep talking. That's pretty exciting stuff. Mid lane tower, that's not there anymore, which is actually quite a big power deficit now for ImPerium Academy that Merlin was able to take that. I think he looked like 200 IQ for that. I think it should have been 0 IQ, but it ended up working out. Quickness from 13 Green Ninjas. Again, maybe not quite the coordination we'd want to see with her team. This is the second time we've seen that used a little bit preemptively. Undertow goes a little bit wide. Shadow Mustangs getting pincered in 5 versus 2. The AD carry is not here. They cannot take this fight. A nice disengage, though. They get out Unstoppable Onslaught and the Blast Cone to get Merlin out to safety. They're working their way back in. A couple of low health bars. Herald is going to go down in favor of ImPerium Academy. The fight might still be on. Zaya's pushing in the bot lane. If this is a win, it could be huge for the Shadow Mustangs. Wild Growth might not be enough. Kakari taking so much damage from that Nether Grasp as well. Double kill for the Olaf. Running rampant in the backside. Shadow Mustangs doing great in this one. 13 Green Ninjas finally going to fall, but her sacrifice is definitely worth it for the team. 3 for 1. Make it 4 for 1 in the fight. They lose the Herald in 1 kill, but the Zaya's pushing in the bot as well. This is huge.
Yeah, massive swing for Shadow Mustangs. And I want to highlight one key part of that fight. Merlin's ultimate, right? Catching out Kakari with that Nether Grasp. The Malzahar attacks had not yet been paid. Kakari is finally saying, okay, man, back off, man, be cool. I got the money. Here it is. He bought the QSS off of that last death, but he didn't have it yet. And like I said, that is such a key item. If you're Victor or you're Vayne, you're one of these medium to long range or medium to close range, like carry champions, you have to respect the Malzahar attacks. You have to respect that ultimate that Merlin has, because otherwise you are not going to be able to team fight. And that alone is basically what allowed Shadow Mustangs to go for that team fight. There were other things as well. There was a nice poke landed beforehand. Wokian is ridiculously strong. He was landing nice undertow after nice undertow, getting a lot of chunk damage onto Emmy and onto Jaywalker. But the crux of that, in my opinion, was all about the Nether Grasp, all about Kakari stepping up a little bit too far, getting picked up by that Malzahar ultimate. And also, like you said, in the side lane, that entire fight, that was a 4v5. Slick Drake wasn't even there. The AD carry for Shadow Mustangs was not there. He was taking a turret. So that was a 4 versus 5 fight that the Shadow Mustangs still won, despite it being a 4v5. They got 4 kills for 1, I think. Now they're looking for another kill onto Emmy in this top lane, and I think he's just going to die. I don't know,
Wow.
man.
Yeah, no wild growth use, no flash use, maybe just not respecting or thinking it wasn't worth it. Heal was up for Valexia as well. Just didn't want to go in for that fight. The support dies.
Another death, and now it's this game is sort of rapidly going from pretty close to not that close. 12-3 in kills, 35,000, almost 36,000 gold to 30,000. The gold gap is becoming bigger and bigger. The objective gap is just as big as it's always been. There's not been a single significant jungle objective that's gone the way of Imperium. I think that might be actually the first scuttle crab of the game that Jaywalker's gotten. Like that's about it. Like a scuttle crab picked up. Okay, that's good. No dragons, no heralds. They're bleeding turrets like crazy. They can't get control of a fight to save their lives. And now they're getting caught out again.
QSS was too early. He used it when he was not in that ultimate. Not going to be working out for Kakara. He uses his flash as well, but he's still going to be going down. Jaywalker might have to go into the Umbral Trespass. He will do so, but I don't think it's going to do anything than buy a little bit of time. Tries to go in for a bit more. Not going to be enough. Slick Drake picking up that kill. Wet Noodle fight in the bot lane is about Flaming Thunder trying to get something done, but what's he going to do against Ewok? Ewok is just giving back as good as he's getting on this one, both down to half HP, but Flaming Thunder is going nowhere faster. This has Dominus available. He might look to go in, but the Unstoppable Onslaught is still there. Meanwhile, Emmy, no chance to stay alive right now. Going to get knocked up at the Grand Entrance. Wokian just on a rampage, 7, 1, and 2. Just cooking with gas in this game. The Ignite goes down onto Valexia, forcing them out of this situation. The Inhibitor turret does fall. The Inhibitor going to go down as well. And the Soul Dragon is up in 5 seconds, Baymax.
Everything is coming up Shadow Mustangs right now. Ewok is winning the side split. They're still winning the main team fight over that mid lane turret, right? Shadow Mustangs, they pick up the mid lane team fight win, they pick up the inhibitor, they pick up the kill on the side lane in the boss side of the map. They're gonna pick up their Dragon Soul as well, basically uncontested. Imperium already had their fight. They lost it around that mid lane inhibitor. They're not alive in time to contest this Dragon. So Cloud Soul going over in favor of Shadow Mustangs. By the way, I haven't talked about the Dragon Soul, but this is a Cloud Soul with a freaking Olaf and a Rakan. Like, that's insane. The movement speed off these guys ulting, it should be illegal. It should be outlawed. It should be banned. That's not okay. Just if you thought that Wokian was scary, if you thought that this freaking Olaf, this berserker of a beast, whatever he is, I don't even know. If you thought he was scary before, just wait until he's got this Cloud Soul. He's running you down with those undertows, until Green Ninjas is chasing you down with that Grand Entrance, with that quickness, because he is going to know the meaning of quick. Now that he's got a Cloud Soul to complement his ultimate. This is going to be a terrifying team fight, and it already was a terrifying team fight. I don't see many ways for Imperium back into this game. I like, they have the scaling
Elder
team.
Dragon? Question mark?
You know, maybe. I think theoretically, if they get to that point, they did finally get their first edit completed for Valexia. They're close to a second.
Yeah, but we're just going to go into the fight. And I saw this analysis is great, but we got a team fight on our hands. Jaywalker going to be going down. Emmy has already fallen. Double kill for Slick Drake here. That surely is going to be the Baron or the push down mid. Anything the Shadow Mustangs Unleashed want, they can take right now, picking up another couple of kills.
Another couple kills. You know, that's what happens when you're down, 15-3, and you have the audacity to think you can step anywhere near that Baron pit. Well done by Shadow Mustangs. Nice control over that topside jungle. A little bit of misplay here. There's no control ward in the pit, so Imperium actually can see this Baron. Not that it matters, but they do have that sort of cheeky little ward in the pit. If Jaywalker was still alive, that may have found a way to translate itself into a Baron steal. Oh!
Flaming Thunder is... yeah, he's flaming out, I think you could say on that one. 1-5 on the Renekton. Not quite the game he was hoping to have against this Scion. Ewok playing a very nice game for himself. Deathless still. We've seen a couple nice disengages, a couple nice engages, really knowing the limits.
You're right. Ewok's been doing fine, but like this top lane, I think every time Flaming Thunder's died, it's because Wokian has been there.
I guess only killed once.
Okay, down in that bot lane like 5 minutes ago when
Fair enough.
I think Ewok was already 2-0 with like, it was Wokian. It was Wokian.
That is true. This Olaf has done a lot of work this game. I think for all the lanes, I think you can't really say, hey, we won lane, smile. Yeah, you had a little help, though, from that Axeman walking himself in. We got to push in 2 of the lanes. Minions pushing in the mid as well. A very nice macro game right now by the Shadow Mustangs. They have looked very good in this series. I do also want to call attention to the fact that this was a 2-0 in favor of Imperium Academy, the first time these two teams met a couple of weeks ago. So really flipping the script on this one. Ewok is just running away from Flaming Thunder, doing a lot of damage as well, but it doesn't even matter. He's just distracting In the top lane right now, the push is coming through 4 versus 4. Ewok finally might go down. It doesn't actually really matter at this point. He's just walking himself back away with the movement speed from the ultimate. Second inhibitor goes down. Rotate coming through. Shadow Mustang's going to be onto the third inhibitor, the bot one. Ewok has walked himself up. He's healing up with the Ocean Dragon. Flaming Thunder can do nothing but recall. This is the third inhibitor going down with this Baron push. Incredibly clean macro play by the Shadow Mustangs unleashed in this game. They look like a completely different team than we usually see.
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't know that I've actually caught any of their other games. So this is the only, or no, I think I have. I'm not sure. You're right though. This is a strong Shadow Mustangs. I think I have seen them before. But this is a strong Shadow Mustangs. They're looking good. They're playing well. They're playing pretty, they're playing aggressive, but not too aggressive. They're not going too far forward for the most part and dying. There was basically Slick Drake and Green Ninjas getting caught out that one time, going for that dive onto Emmy and Valexia, getting punished by Jaywalker, getting punished by their own micro failures as well. But other than that, it's been, I think, basically a perfect game. A perfect game for the Shadow Mustangs. They've done so well. They've gotten all the big objectives. They've won all the big team fights. I think the debt that Wokian has was in that one team fight over Herald, where it was, 4 kills to 1 in favor of Shadow Mustangs. Like, Wokian died, but you definitely take those. I'm impressed. Like you said, these teams, they on paper, they should be very close in skill level. They're both 2 to 3. The last time these teams met, it was Shadow Mustangs versus ImPerium Academy, and ImPerium Academy, like you said, won 2-0. And now here we are again, a little bit later, a few weeks later. Shadow Mustangs absolutely running the board, at least in game number 1. We talked a lot about the draft. I did think the draft was good. We're going to see the end of the game potentially.
Engage comes through. Here we are going into this final team, but a huge quickness across the team. The movement speed is just too much. Blade color as well. There's not even anything else to say. It's the ace, 5 for 0. They barely even broke a sweat doing that one. A dominating performance by the Shadow Mustangs Unleashed. They're onto the inhibitor. They take the lead 1-0 in the series over ImPerium Academy.
Okay, 23-3. That's a 12,000 gold lead we're looking at here. ImPerium Academy, they've got to be shaking a little bit. They got to be going, what the heck just happened? I think, in my opinion, Carl, I know you probably agree with this, a lot of it has to hinge on this draft. I don't like ImPerium's draft. They had, some win conditions, some good things going on, but overall, it just felt like they weren't strong anywhere. Bot lane, Valexia and Emmy getting bullied the entire laning phase. Kakari mid lane wasn't exactly getting bullied in lane 1v1, but because he was up against the Malzahar, because it was Merlin with that Nether Grasp available, he couldn't really do anything. Like, as soon as he starts to step anywhere, until he's got the QSS, he's just going to die. And that happened over and over and over again. I want to say I love the idea of putting a Malzahar with an aggressive champion like an Olaf, right? You want to combo a Malzahar mid laner, any mid laner that sets up very, very well for a jungler, with a jungler that does a lot of damage. You don't need a jungler that brings card control. You don't need a jungler that brings setup. You already have that from your laner. You need a jungler that can kill the enemy champion. And Olaf is very good at that, especially when ahead. And we saw that exact combination pulled off many, many times between these two. The mid jungle synergy on the side of the Shadow Mustangs was impressive, to say the least. I thought their whole roster did very, very well. Everyone looked good. And I cannot wait to see what happens in match number 2. I can't wait to see how ImPerium Academy switch things up if they go back to the drawing board, what they ban. I think maybe the Malzahar gets taken away, maybe the Olaf. I don't know. Yeah, any final thoughts, Carl?
They need to go back to the drawing board. I think if they don't go back to the drawing board, I think this is going to be a very short series. I think if they do go back to the drawing board, I think you need to ban away the Malzahar, perhaps. You got to ban away something. You got to change something up, come up with a different plan. This looked like a very uncoordinated ImPerium Academy. I think they need to pick something that works better together. I think the Vayne pick was very flat. It just looked like a comp that wasn't coordinated. The team didn't look coordinated. So I think they just need to take a breather, kind of go back into the second game with a reset mental. And I think they'll have a better chance at it. But right now, it's just not looking good for them. We'll see how it works out. We're going to step aside as we get ready for game number 2, but we'll be back very shortly with the second game in this series. We'll be right back. Welcome back to game number 2, Shadow Mustangs Unleashed and Imperium Academy, in a bit of a Demacian duel going on right now. It's Shadow Mustangs up 1-0 on Imperium Academy, getting some revenge for the first time they played when it was a 2-0 in favor of the Academy side. Yarl Carl alongside Baymax breaking down this draft of game number 2.
And right away, right off the bat, we got an Olaf ban, we got a Malzahar ban. Some of those classic picks the Shadow Mustangs rolled with in game number 1, instantly taken away. Imperium saying we are not going to deal with that this time around. Although, of course, that does mean that some of those other bans are still on the table. The Kaisa still available. That was actually banned by SMU last time, so that's not available. That was banned away this time also. But last time around, Imperium banned Mordekaiser. They banned Nunu. These are champions that SMU play, although SMU actually banned away the Nunu, but the Mordekaiser is still open, still available for the top laner for SMU. We might see Flaming Thunder opt for something like that. We might see Ewok look for something like that.
Ash still up also.
Yeah, Caitlyn also still up, which we didn't see priority on last time around, but still strong, still good.
Yeah, still good. Volibear, something we didn't talk about at all. It's a good pick up in the top lane. SMU. Could they be going for a bit of a BM? Pick the Vayne. You got to pick the Vayne right now. Oh, they're going to go for the Kog'Maw. They love this pick. This is a Shadow Mustangs special. Playing it a lot in the bot lane to, let's just say, varied levels of success.
Well, let me take a look here at Slick Drake's Master Chicks. I'm curious. Do you know is it usually AD Kog'Maw or is it AP? Because I've seen
it's AD in the bot lane. They're into this.
Okay, all right.
You can go poke around if you want, but this is usually what they do. They might have changed it a little bit, but I would be stunned if this is Merlin in the mid lane. They play this pick a lot.
I can dig it. I do like AP Kog'Maw though. I'm a fan. Although the Ashe picked up for Imperium, I think they might have heard you on that one because you've been harping on the Ashe quite a bit tonight, and with not without good reason, right? Ashe is probably the second strongest, or maybe even the strongest AD carry. Now that Caitlyn did get nerfed, although like we talked about, there were some other AD carry buffs that ended up going through. We saw buffs to Kaisa, Varus, and Xayah. I guess the Kaisa buffs are actually pretty significant as well, which is why you keep seeing her banned away. She got a bunch of bonus attack speed from her E. She also got a little bit of an AD growth stat, a little bit of love there, as did Xayah. We talked about that last game. We'll get a little bit more into this draft. We see Nami picked up to complement the Ashe in the bot lane for Imperium. A Warwick being hovered as well for SMU. Olaf did get banned away, but some other strong junglers are still open. A lot of things more meta than a Warwick, but we're going to go with the Warwick, Carl.
It's the Warwick coming through. I am not looking at the right draft. Now I'm looking at the right draft. This is also a Shadow Mustangs pick. They love the Warwick. Basically, like the Shadow Mustangs dream composition is random top laner, Warwick, Veigar, or Kog'Maw Lulu. This is kind of like what we see them revolving around a lot. I'm not surprised to see them pick up the Warwick. It's something that has worked, again, with moderate levels of success, as has everything that Shadow Mustangs has picked. They are a little bit of an up and down team, I think it's fair to say. They look very up tonight. I think also a big factor in this game is going to be the mental. For Imperium Academy, they just had a devastating loss. Shadow Mustangs surely riding high off of that game. I think that could be very important in the early game as well. How Imperium Academy comes out of the gate, I think, will dictate a lot of the rest of this game.
Well, we'll see. They've definitely, begun the draft far differently than in game number 1. If you think back, I'm getting too excited. I'm trying to talk too fast. You think back to game number 1. It was Lulu and Vayne that were first picked by Imperium. This time around, Volibear and Ashe. That's a far scrappier team, a lot more priority, a lot more potential to make things happen early, a lot more agency on both of those champions. Those are, Volibear likes to skirmish, likes to fight. He can dive turrets. He can get aggressive. He can get in your face. Ashe as well. Got that crystal arrow. Can pick fights. Has good wave control with her W. Has good poke and zoning. Nami as well. Good enchanter to keep that AD carry alive. Got a lot of follow-up engage. Maybe, not as good as something like a Lulu. I think Lulu's a little bit more in the meta, but Nami is certainly not a weak pick and certainly not a champion that you pick up if you are planning on playing slow in the early to mid game. So Imperium, they're already, you said you wanted to see them go back to the drawing board. They've already switched things up quite a lot, especially with an Ornn in the top lane. That's just another way they switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. SMU. Oh, the Yone actually coming through. I'm very excited about this. You and I together, Baymax, have cast several Yone pop-offs.
Several.
It always seems like this champion just completely gets out of control, and I think a lot of it comes to people just not being used to playing against it. Not really sure what it does yet. I think Yasuo, if memory serves, was relatively similar. When he first came out, people kind of, oh, he's got these dashes, can randomly like jump on top of me with his ult. I don't really know what's going on. A very eclectic comp from SMU right now. We've got a Skarner, a Warwick, an Annie, a Kog'Maw, and a Lulu. Next, I don't know what season it is. Season 2?
As far as I know, it's still season 10, unless something crazy has happened. But I might have gone back in time. How would I know, right? I like the team comp from SMU. I like seeing things that are a bit unorthodox, but it is a bit unorthodox. I do think, though, in terms of the Yone pick, you were talking about that and how we seemingly see it pop off every time it gets picked in these competitive games. I think that SMU have drafted quite a strong team for dealing with a Yone, right? You have that Lulu polymorph to keep him in check. You have a Warwick suppression to keep him in check. Skarner ultimate to keep him in check. Annie is just generally pretty hard to kill for a mage thanks to that damage reduction on her shield. And also she's got stuns every 4 abilities to keep him in check. And, a targeted stun in their Q, an instantaneous AoE stun in their ultimate. Like, those are great tools for dealing with and keeping down a Yone. So I think as far as the Yone is concerned, SMU probably don't have that much to worry about. If they've done their homework, if they know how this champion operates. He also just did get nerfed in patch 10.17, so he's not quite as strong as he was. But I am a little concerned for the rest of Imperium's comp. I like Imperium's composition. I think Ornn's a strong pick, especially with an AD carry like an Ashe that scales quite well. A mid laner like Yone, who also scales pretty well in that late game, especially with those upgraded items, with that Molten Edge, with I'm not even sure what else he would build, but it's a good scaling team from Imperium. It's sort of the opposite of last time. Or no, I shouldn't say it's the opposite of last time around. It's the same as last time around. Imperium had a good scaling team last time. They have one this time as well. But this time, Imperium has more agency early game. They have more tools to make things happen early game. They have a strong team fighting ultimate with the Ornhorn, strong team fighting ultimate with Ashe, and Volibear, and Nami, and Yone. Like, they're ready to rumble. They're ready to fight. And SMU, I don't think, have nearly as clear of advantages in lane this time around as they did last time. I think this draft is closer than last time for sure.
I certainly agree with that. I think what you said about Shadow Mustangs having tools to deal with Yone, I remember us saying this multiple times previously about Yone, who then proceeds to go 15-0, and you're like, oh, well, who cares? I would like to agree with you once again. Every one of these champions basically has some way that they can completely lock him down. On the top side so far, right? Skarner ultimate, Warwick ultimate, Annie Stein, you've already touched on it. I think maybe that's enough crowd control to deal with him.
I'm glad you mentioned top side, by the way, because I was going to say Kog'Maw does not, but
no, yeah, they've already picked in this draft, in the actual client draft. But I think another major deal with Yone, that wasn't a sentence. Another major thing about Yone is if you don't let him get ahead, he's a lot less scary, right? A lot of the games we've seen, he's 3-0 out of lane, and at that point he's somewhat beyond help. If he's just even in lane, if Merlin doesn't int to him, if he doesn't go down, I think there's a much better chance that they can keep this Yone under control. I do agree, though. I think the draft is a lot closer. I think it's just hard to evaluate this SMU draft because it is so weird. When was the last time you saw Skarner top, right? So I don't really know how to feel about it, but I do think it's closer.
Yeah, I mean, Skarner top, I don't know how much more Skarner, to be frank. I don't know how I expect that matchup to go. Generally, Ornn does well into other tanks. I don't think he does that well into bruisers. I imagine that would be a pretty favorable matchup for Ewok. He might be able to get some pressure in that lane, but I don't really know for sure. I'll bring it back to the mid lane quickly. We'll talk about the Annie a little bit, because Annie is a champion that has seen a slight rise in priority in the past few weeks and especially months. She got a little bit of love to her ultimate. Tibbers does a little bit more damage. She's a little bit tankier with her shield. Annie's been buffed a couple times here and there. And also, Annie is a champion that Merlin plays quite a bit. Merlin is basically a Malzahar one trick, but his second most played champion is Annie. And he's got a pretty solid win rate on her, pretty solid number of games on her, pretty solid KDA on her. So Merlin is probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, not going to int, not going to run it down to the Yone, because he is on a champion that he's pretty comfortable on. He's also on a champion that I think should do fairly well in that lane. Again, we'll have to sort of wait and see how things shake down, how the die come up on this one, because I think Kari certainly could pop off and start doing some crazy things on this pick. But on the flip side, we were talking about how Merlin has practiced the Annie. Kakari doesn't have much practice on Yone. He hasn't really been playing the champion all that much, at least not on his main account. I don't see any games in his recent match history on it. I'm a little concerned to see, how he ends up doing on this pick. I think it might not be that good. And if Kakari doesn't do well, then Valexia is basically going to be the only DPS source available for ImPerium to slice through the tanky frontline that Shadow Mustangs have. And Shadow Mustangs do have quite a tanky frontline. They have a Warwick, a Skarner, a Lulu to protect them. Like, somebody has got to cut through all that armor, cut through all that magic resist. And who's it going to be?
I don't really have an answer for you on that one, Baymax, unfortunately. And I think that's, something they're going to be struggling with throughout the game. I still am thinking about this top lane. That's just the only thing I can think about right now is the Skarner versus Ornn matchup. It seems like Skarner is one of those champions that people are like, oh, he's very fringe. He's not very good. And then he gets in your game and he ults you 4 times in a row. And you're like, this champion is the most broken thing I've ever seen. And then you ban him in your next 5 games. I think I don't know where his spires are. Baymax, I don't know if you're familiar with that for the top lane, like if he'll be able to ever be in one or if they're just in the jungle. I think they are only in the jungle.
I'm pretty sure they don't extend to the top lane.
Okay. So no spires for him up there. I think he might have, I don't know. I really don't know. I assume he will do well against the Ornn. Bruisers tend to do well against Ornn. I think Skarner, when he's not played in the jungle, will fit that role. I think Flaming Thunder is...
Well, my concern for the Skarner is basically just I feel like the only reason you would ever pick Skarner is basically just for his ultimate. And his ultimate is not that useful if you're stuck in the top lane against a tank that you don't care about. Right? Like, you got to get him out of there somehow.
Sure, and especially if you're ulting Ornn while he's unstoppable, that's not going to do a whole lot for you either. I think Ornn is unstoppable at some point in his combo. And, I think this is a lot of what this game is going to come down to is if Shadow Mustangs can survive their laning phase and really start getting this Kog'Maw Lulu online, because if they don't, they could have a lot of trouble. We're going to find out. We're going to step aside as we load onto the Rift for game number 2. We'll be back very, very shortly with the game number 2. Welcome back to the Rift, everybody. Game number 2, locked and loaded in right now. ImPerium Academy on the blue side against the Shadow Mustangs, unleashed on the red side with a bit of an odd composition. We got a Skarner in the top lane, we got an Annie in the mid lane, Cog, Lulu in the bot. It should be a good time. I am Jarl Carl, experiencing that good time alongside my friend Baymax.
Thank you, Carl. Nice introduction. As always, we got Shadow Mustangs versus ImPerium Academy. And to reiterate what you said, these teams are fighting for that all-important second seed moving into playoffs. Playoffs are going to be starting as soon as this weekend for here at Style Esports. This is the Demacia group where these teams are, like I said, they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to move up in the world, get as far as they can, get to those playoffs, get to those finals, and win it all. And that starts, well, really it started a few weeks ago when the season started, but it starts right here. It starts right now. It starts with every single game you play yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And here we go. We're close right now to a potential 2-0 in favor of the Shadow Mustangs. ImPerium Academy is sort of reeling after a pretty devastating first loss. Can they cut their way back into this series? They've switched things up a little bit. Draft has changed significantly. Shadow Mustangs kept off of many of their comfort picks from last game. What's going to happen?
They're also flipping the script on these lane assignments. It looks like we're going to have an Ornn in the mid lane and a Yone in the top. So that's pretty exciting. I also want to just touch on what you said about playoffs. The second seed means that the Dragons of the West cannot select you. So the first seed will select either the third or fourth place team to play in the semifinals. Dragons of the West, the undisputed best team in the group. So there's that point. If you win this game, if you win this series, you will not be playing Dragons of the West in the semifinals. Also, you will avoid any chance of being relegated. The fourth place team may be relegated. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to run the rules on this because a bunch of teams just forfeited from this group. So the group of 7 became a group of 4. So being last place in a group of 4 doesn't really seem like it's worthy of being relegated down to the next group. So we'll see about that. But you cannot be relegated if you win this series. There's a lot of things on the line right now that SMU definitely will want to be winning. They got relegated last season. Don't think they're going to want to go through it again. Merlin taking a lot of damage from this Ornn in the mid lane. We discussed this last time. That guy hurts.
Ornn hurts. He's also hard to bully. I actually like this matchup. I think I like this matchup more than I like Yone into Annie, because Annie is sort of a champion that is, like I said, hard to all in, and that's where Yone shines. He likes going for all in, likes going for heavy trades. Ornn, hard to poke down, hard to poke out of lane, hard to bully as much as something like a Yone might be. And looking top lane, I don't know about that Skarner matchup, but apparently Kakari does know about the Skarner matchup. He is doing it just fine for himself. Got quite a favorable trade. Now looking towards the boss side of the map. Wokian is in trouble.
Wokian is in some trouble. Got spotted out on that ward. They knew he was in this bush, and essentially a 1 versus 3. The flash is going to come in too late. Double buffs now for the Ashe. Jaywalker getting himself up at 13 Green Ninjas is going to find herself in so much trouble. Slick Drake doesn't really have the damage, though. He's actually putting a lot of punishment on to Emmy. The flash forced away, but the first blood goes in favor of ImPerium Academy.
First blood for ImPerium. Slick Drake almost trades one back, but not quite. Keep in mind, ImPerium, they're on the back foot here. They just came out of a pretty of a big loss. So first blood for them. Definitely a nice change of pace. The last game was, I think, 17-3 at the end of it. A ridiculous stomp in favor of the Shadow Mustangs. So it's nice to see a little bit of a win here for ImPerium, and it's not over yet. Wokian trying to make something come back here.
Going back in for the repeat. Emmy, the flash, only the fear onto that support, but Slick Drake does pick up that kill. Valexia, the flash away, saving those double buffs for themselves, but the kill traded back.
Oh, kill onto Kog'Maw, though. That is pretty scary. Kog'Maw is one of those hyper carries that funnel him some gold. Pretty soon, he's one-shotting everybody. You already saw Slick Drake do pretty insane damage in that first level 2 fight in the bot lane, and he is still just an early game Kog'Maw, but now he's going to be an early game Kog'Maw with 1 kill. A couple extra long swords, a couple extra recurve bows under his belt. He'll be a little bit scarier. Moving towards the top side of the map, the jungler is about to run into each other again, potentially. Wokian sort of sliding right past Jaywalker at his Raptors. Wokian saying, I want this Scuttle Crab. I don't care about your Raptors, or my Raptors, I guess. Merlin.
Flash away. Having to use that so much, but Wokian just going for a walk, trying to get himself away. I think this actually will turn out to be the best way to get out. Just looked a little bit odd. He's just running into the middle of him. Flash to follow from Flaming Thunder, knocks him up into the air. It might have been the best chance he had to get out, but don't think it's going to be enough. No summoner spells to get away. Crowd control finally comes through. That's the stun. Jaywalker picking up the kill.
Wokian was very deep, but it was also a nice positioning from Jaywalker, sort of hiding on accident, I think, from Wokian at his own Raptors. A little bit of bad luck there for the jungler for Shadow Mustangs, I think. Either way, though, that's the second kill of the game picked up for ImPerium Academy. They are now basically in full control of this middle bottom half portion of the map. You see Jaywalker and Flaming Thunder roaming down, starting up this dragon, beginning to sort of put their claws into this mid game as first dragon of the game about to go down, about to fall. Wokian is going to hit the vision plant, spot out the members of Imperium Academy, but it'll be a case of too little, too late. There is no answer from Slick Drake, no answer from Green Ninjas, and first dragon of the game, 5 minutes and 39 seconds, going over in favor of Imperium.
Kind of just flipping the first game on its head. Basically, right now for Imperium Academy, they look very strong. Wokian looks lost. Well, he's not playing on the Olaf. Meanwhile, on the mid lane, Merlin going all in. Bear Tibbers throwing at it. No Ignite to follow that one up. Flaming Thunder forced out of lane, but he will survive.
Got that Dark Harvest stack, though. That's important. Get that stacking early on. Make a anti-hit like a
suppression under the top. In the top, well, that's an impale. Beautifully played by Ewok. He drew the tower aggro. Got level 6. Used the ultimate. Very, very clean.
Yeah, clean from Ewok, but over aggression from Kakari. I think that's the only way he dies there. He's been doing so well in that lane, but gets taunted up, or stunned up rather, while he was taking turret aggro under that turret. And Ewok finds himself a nice little kill, which should hopefully make that laning phase a bit easier for him. Pretty bloody early game so far. 2 kills to 2, 6.5 minutes in. Dragon has been taken as well, and everyone's just sort of everyone is close so far, right? We're seeing about a 200 gold difference between these teams. Wokian again looking for potentially a gank bot lane, but he's actually falling a little bit far behind here. He's only level 4. If you're looking towards the jungle CS, he's got no camps on his side of the jungle that are up and available to take. And Jaywalker does. He's about to clear 3 or 4 camps of his own, and he's still up a 10 CS already, even without factoring that in. So the jungle diff is actually pretty big right now. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of like gold increase coming through here for Imperium in the next few minutes. Is Wokian just a little bit behind in farm, in tempo, in the jungle.
If Wokian had been level 6, I think that play would have been very strong. In the bot lane, out of that bush, go for the ultimate, and then try to make a play. But he's only level 4. What are you going to do, right? You need Emmy to face check that bush to have any chance of success. Slick Drake and Green Ninjas are very weak still right now. I think that's just a little bit of an overforce there. You're never really going to find a play. I think you need to just scale up and get level 6. That's when Warwick is so strong, right? You have camps available. He's going to be able to clear them, but just falling farther and farther behind a lot of time when they're all up. That is very inefficient jungle pathing. And Wokian, I think, needs to just get to level 6 and try to start making ganks work out then, rather than trying to force them beforehand.
Speaking of forcing ganks, looking towards the top side of the map, Jaywalker hanging around, maybe looking to punish Ewok, might look for a dive. He does have the Stormbringer available, level 6 onto this volley bear, but the junglers might run into each other if they try anything crazy. It looks like instead Jaywalker is going to opt to start up this Rift Herald, which I think is the better play, given that Imperium Academy don't really know where Wokian is. By the way, Wokian, taking his Krugs right now, just hit level 5. Just hit level 5. Meanwhile, Jaywalker level 6. Most solo laners, in fact, all solo laners are level 7. The bot laners are now hitting level 6. Level 6 for Valexia on this Ashe, got his ultimate available. Wokian is just really behind the power curve of this game right now. And that's manifesting itself in the first dragon going over to Imperium. First Herald as well. He's got no pressure in this jungle. Jaywalker is sort of running circles around him on this volley bear. Like you said, this is a total reversal of the first game when we saw Wokian's Olaf just with a dominating performance.
Merlin in trouble. Tibbers goes down. Stormbringer. Wokian way too late to help his mid laner. Not even level 6 at any rate. Just has to watch while the Annie goes down.
Annie going down. Another kill picked up for Imperium. About a 600 gold lead now for this squad. But looking towards the bot side of the map, we see sort of the one bright spot, I think, for Shadow Mustangs. Slick Drake and Green Ninjas have pressure in this lane. Nice CS onto Kog'Maw. If there was one member of this team that I would say could carry by himself with a bunch of kills, it would definitely be a Kog'Maw with a Lulu on his back. So, Slick Drake being ahead is a good sign. I think definitely. Oh, Green Ninjas.
No chance to get the wild growth. I think Slick Drake may escape with Flash and cleanse the teleport. I think a little bit overeager from Kakari on this one. The title with the Flash Fate sealed as well. Holy aggression. Flash from Slick Drake to get themselves out.
That was a lot of resources burned for Slick Drake's Flash, basically. Slick Drake's Flash is an important cooldown to get, but I don't know if it's worth a Flash and a teleport from your top laner. Maybe it is. Maybe they can punish that later on with Dragon spawning, with Slick Drake being an immobile Kog'Maw, but I kind of doubt it because Ewok is sort of being rewarded for that teleport with a little bit of a reprieve in this top lane, getting a couple waves of CS to himself, getting a turret plate to himself, getting some pressure for himself, and he will also be in a position where he now has teleport advantage as this next dragon is spawning onto the map. So we're going to see a Skarner and an Annie with teleport available. Meanwhile, it's only the Ornn mid lane who doesn't really even need teleport because he's Ornn mid lane. He can just walk the dragon pit and ult. So teleport advantage definitely in favor of Shadow Mustangs now if they want to fight over that dragon, if they're feeling strong enough, and they might actually be dragon spawning about now. Meanwhile, Velexia and Emmy both just recalled. It looks like Slicktrick and Wokian might start this dragon up. I think I don't know if they actually saw Velexia and Emmy recall, but if they did, this is a very smart play. They have a small window to abuse that, take this dragon. That is exactly what Shadow Mustangs are doing. And that is so important for stopping or at least slowing the roll of ImPerium Academy, who have had this bot lane pressure, who have put so much priority on getting that first dragon. It just makes it so much harder for ImPerium to get to that dragon soul win condition.
Even if they didn't see the recall come through, pretty obvious they took the reset in bot lane. Bot lane resets are a lot more telegraphed than the solo laners just because they can't really roam. So, you know, the AD carry is not wandering off to mid lane, right? If they're gone from the lane for 15, 20 seconds, they probably recalled. A very nice play there by the Shadow Mustangs, getting that dragon. And like you said, that's huge for stopping that roll of the dragon. It's going to be at least a 25-minute soul, and they just get the Infernal Dragon, which, you know, a couple of extra AP and AD. Annie and Kog'Maw both, you know, need to put out the damage. So that will be nice for them. Going to be the Ocean Soul as well, you know, widely considered to be the best of the souls. These dragons are going to be huge, but I don't think Soul is going to be a huge win condition in this game. As we see Merlin in the mid lane, it kind of going in against Flaming Thunder. Don't think that makes a lot of sense. Call the Forge God comes out. I think a misplay there by Merlin.
I would definitely agree, right? You got that one stun being your safety tool against a gank. There's no way you're going to one-shot Flaming Thunder. Why would you waste your stun so aggressively? Meanwhile, Jaywalker sees the stun go down, says, I'm going to abuse that. I just took Herald. I'm more than happy to take this free gank mid lane, drop the Herald, take probably the first turret of the game, take a bunch of turret plates, get a very, very strong tanky front line, get a bunch of turret plating gold onto this Volibear, onto this Ornn, open up the middle half of the map, get ImPerium Academy in a position where they have so much more control over the entire map. And meanwhile, what are Shadow Mustangs able to do to punish it? They get a turret plate bot lane. That's good. Slick Drake and Green Ninjas are having pressure, are winning. 110 CS on this Kog'Maw is worth mentioning. He's opened up about a 20 CS lead for himself in this bot lane, which is pretty good. Definitely not a bad thing to have your Kog'Maw hyper scaling a little bit earlier. He's got his Bork picked up. He's pretty strong, but still, that's not that much. That one turret plate bot lane on your AD carry, not worth trading that mid lane turret away. So this is all a very sort of elongated way of saying I agree with you. Merlin definitely overstepped, got punished for it. It was a nice punish from Jaywalker, but we're gonna have to move on from that because the teams are gonna have to move on from that, right? You can't dwell on the past forever. You got to look to the future. You got to look forward to the next few minutes of the game, what you can get done.
Arrow in the bot lane, 13 Green Ninjas, no way to get out. Does throw the Wild Growth onto Slick Drake before they do go down. Emmy taking a lot of damage with Slick Drake as well, taking the Rangers' focus away. Flash not available, not going to have to be used. Lexi gets pulled in with the Impale. Wokian arriving on the scene as well. Does have the ultimate going in, but it gets flashed away from. Fear goes out onto Emmy. That should be the kill. Wokian picking that one up. Slick Drake walking back into this fight, trying to throw a few shots in from the back line. 4 versus 3. That's the Yone of Kakari is still stuck on the top side. 1-for-1 traded back.
3 teleports and 4 flashes later.
Yeah, we might not be done, Baymax. We're going right back into this one. Wokian joining his way. Fear goes down onto Jaywalker. Slick Drake's throwing those shots in, but Wokian gonna have to get himself away. A couple more shots. A few shots could kill a few. The living artilleries are coming down. Slick Drake 1-for-1. Is it gonna be 2-for-2? No, it's not. Not quite far enough. Flaming Thunder getting himself away as well. Slick Drake, watch the tower damage though. Gonna go so low. Everybody blinking red on the bot side, but another couple of kills picked up there for SMU.
Such low health bars on ImPerium and on SMU, but at the end of the day, that's 2 kills for nothing and potentially a bot lane turret about to fall. Although in the top side of the map, Kakari is likely trading back this top lane turret as well, going to find a little bit of turret damage of his own. So not all is lost for ImPerium, but certainly a team fight win there for Shadow Mustangs. It's sort of a weird fight though, because at first it was, I think, 6 flashes blown, 3 teleports blown across both teams, and nobody had died. Or I think 1 death had gone down. And then everyone sort of re-engaged, and more fighting happened, and more people died because those summoner spells were down. Kakari now top lane getting run down here by Ewok. Looks like he's out.
Yep, Fate Sealed to get himself away, but
got that Fate Sealed available for himself.
Yeah, doesn't have it for the team fight now. However, it's not the longest of cooldowns, but it will be up 30 seconds after this dragon. So that could be a big cooldown for them to be missing. All the ultimates should be available for the Shadow Mustangs in time. Merlin will have his. So I think they're going to have a slightly better dragon fight than will the side of Imperium Academy. But I do think they need to actually take this dragon fight right now. Slickdrake is quite strong. Flash available. Got another kill in that last team fight. Obviously, Kog'Maw is going to get stronger as we go later into the game, but this Kog'Maw with the Blade of the Ruined King and a lot of extra attack speed is very scary if they're able to stand and fight. I think that's what the Shadow Mustangs need to look for.
I 100% agree. I mentioned it a little bit earlier on that like Slickdrake is the guy who can be that carry right now that Shadow Mustangs need. They play around him, they can still win fights. Ewok has been doing pretty well for himself in this top lane also. He's got ninja tabbies. He's feeling a little bit stronger in this 1v1, but no, he doesn't have teleport advantage now. So
Ooh, there's the Impale. Not going to have that for the fight, but he's trying to go for the kill perhaps. Kikari taking a lot of damage. Phantom Dancer passive proc and the flash as well, but Imperium's onto the dragon. I don't love this play with the Shadow Mustangs. They're going for the Herald instead of this dragon.
I think that's okay. I think that's okay because one, it's hard to take that dragon anyway. Teleport advantage is in favor of Kikari in the top lane, so you're almost guaranteed to be at a numbers disadvantage fighting over that dragon. Two, it's only the second dragon of the aim for Imperium. They aren't close to a dragon soul because you got that other second dragon. And three, Imperium are just sort of stronger at this point in the game. I think their team comp is better at skirmishing around these mid-game objectives, especially from ahead, which they certainly are ahead. So trading Herald for a dragon, I think, is fine. Imperium aren't threatening a dragon soul anytime soon. There's not really anything scary coming out of that dragon for 5-10 minutes. And Herald breaks open a little bit more of the map, right? It creates a situation where Shadow Mustangs can breathe a little bit easier, get vision control a little bit easier, and free up some more of their mental, some of their stress, right? Relieve themselves a little bit. They're a little bit safer. They got that vision.
A little more vision coming through. Unfortunately, not a second charge gained from that Herald, but they do break open the tower, like you said. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't actually disagree with your reasoning on that one. Second dragon, as long as you aren't giving up more of them, I think you're going to be fine. This Kog'Maw scales just fine enough to go later on in the game. Even if it is another 10 minutes, the Dragon Soul fight, I think they definitely are able to take. Once they're at that 2.5
the
item.
TP advantage is that
True.
Kikari had TP and Ewok didn't. That's like, it's hard to fight over dragon then.
Yeah, I think you maybe could have gone for it if Ewok had like found that solo kill on a Kikari or something like that. You know, maybe go for the 4v4. But I do agree. I hadn't noticed the teleport. So yeah, that is a very good point. You don't really want to be going, go for the dragon, get pincered in, you kind of lose everything there. So a little bit too risky. I think just the risk not worth it, right? You can go for the Herald, trade that instead, and that's just fine for you there. I mean, taking a lot of damage from the Glitter Lance and the E. I'm going to see a fight in the bot lane, though. I do think right now Merlin needs to be walking down immediately. Flaming Thunder spotted out. Slickdrake, you got to get away from that wall, my friend. And just kidding, everybody walks away.
Everyone's fine. Everyone's walking away. I thought for sure we were going to see a Call of the Forge God from Flaming Thunder when I just looked at he's level 12 and everyone else is like level 9 and level 10. That's just like, that's a scary Orin right in the middle of all of Shadow Mustangs. He could really do some damage, but opts not to, playing it a little bit slower. I think that would have been a good team fight for Imperium, but you can't take them all. You can't see every fight, especially since the players can't see everything that we can see. So
that's true.
You gotta consider that. I still think that Imperium are in a very strong spot, right? They're up about 2,000 gold. They are sort of peaking. Pretty soon, Flaming Thunder is going to be level 13, level 14. He's going to start getting his upgrades. Oh, mid lane, Call the Forge God.
Merlin way out of position once again, flashing the wrong direction. Fate sealed. It is indeed Kikari picking up the kill.
You said it. There's no more apt way of describing what just happened other than Merlin just being out of position. Like, why are you that far up? You don't have vision control. Actually, they did have vision in the bot side river. They knew they had seen several members of Imperium in that bot side river. Just a little bit too far up for no reason. Now mid lane turret under siege. Here we go. There's a fight happening.
That is the ultimate. Wokian going in. Infinite Duress is down. Slickdrake firing in the backline. Flaming Thunder flashing away from this Kog'Maw. Tidal Wave comes through to buy a little bit of time. Kikari and Flaming Thunder trying to get themselves away. Emmy throwing in a few heals to help her team. Ewok is still charging forward onto a Jaywalker. This Skarner, it turns out, does quite a lot of damage. Baymax, he might get bubbled, though. Going to have to run himself away, but he has the Spire available very shortly. He'll collect that for himself. He is really zooming right now. His Shadow Mustangs end up with a little bit of a tempo play right now. Ewok might be trying to go for the gank. That is the Impale onto Nami. Not taking that much damage, though. Finally does go down. Merlin's arrived with the teleport on this tower. 5 versus 2. This should be falling very shortly. I don't imagine any kind of a contest is going to be able to be made right now, but the minions are gone. This just looks a little bit botched right now by SMU. They've been standing in front of this tower for very long without taking it down. Reinforcements are arriving. This could be a 5 versus 4 tower defense. Arrow comes through, flashed away from Slick Drake. Gonna have to use the cleanse and the flash to get away from that one. His support not really helping him out there. Call the Forge God called in for a little bit of support. Ewok might find the stun here. Kari, could he be too far forward? Goes back to himself, not entirely sure what Yone is doing, but he is dying. That's the most important part. Woking gonna get focused down very low. 1 hit from death, but going to survive that situation. 5 versus 3 in the mid lane right now as SMU finally pick up 2 kills in a very odd play.
You know, it was long, it was messy, it was drawn out, but at the end of the day, 2 more kills for nothing in favor of the Shadow Mustangs. They don't manage to pick up that mid lane turret, but they're going to have a nice little chunk of gold in their pockets, especially in the pocket of Slick Drake, who has 179 CS. He's almost to that second item, and the next dragon is spawning on the map. And Carl, we are starting to get to the point where those dragons do matter a lot. I think we're also to the point where the Shadow Mustangs are in a fairly strong position to start fighting over those dragons, which I think they're about to do, right? We see basically all of both teams beelining towards this dragon pit, but importantly, key ultimates not available for ImPerium only, actually. No Call the Forge God of Flaming Thunder, no arrow for Valexia. Meanwhile, all of the ultimates are available for Shadow Mustangs. This could be a very favorable fight for our red side.
Yeah, they don't even need to pull it out. You just need to burst it down. The jungler not in the area. There's no contest coming through. Maybe you can take that fight. I think Shadow Mustangs are a little bit too strong to contest that dragon. I think if you're there in time, Volibear also didn't have smite. I think if that was a 5v5, maybe you can still take that. I want to point out Ewok does not have an item yet. He has got a lot of components, but no items. So I think that's kind of fun. He's basically got
so many components. Items. He's got parts to 3 different items. You're right. I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I just sort of noticed that earlier, but I was like, he's going to finish the Triforce soon, but he just hasn't yet.
I thought he was going Gauntlet first because he had the Glacial Shot and the Sheen. And then I looked again to see if he'd finished it, and then he had all the Triforce components. And now Nami's getting blown up in the mid lane. Merlin finally finds a pick of his own.
Yeah, Merlin finds a pick, and then I think you were going to mention it, but the Kindle Gem also for Ewok is a little bit confusing. That's like I think of that as being a Spear Visage Black Cleaver item. I'm not sure what he's building with that, but I think finish the Triforce is the play here. I think finish the Triforce. Ooh, arrow. Or wait, no. I thought I saw an arrow. I didn't see
arrows.
An arrow.
0 arrows.
I apologize for the false alarm there. The DEFCON, I raised it to DEFCON 1. Oh, wait, is 1 the highest or 5 the highest? Whatever the highest DEFCON is, I put it there, but I take it down again. I take it back.
Okay, a little bit of a false alarm. Basically, playing a War Games. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, but that's what happens in War Games. It's not a great movie. I really wouldn't check it out. Anyway, I am not sponsored or not
good,
sponsored.
But like it's a little overhyped. Like people like worship at the altar of War Games. I'll hold that thought. Slick Drake getting engaged.
Yeah, we're gonna hold that thought. Slick Drake, that's a lot of damage. Okay, the Rage Blade's completed. I was wondering why the damage was coming through that rapidly. Rage Blade's completed. Ewok is zooming right now. Flaming Thunder taking a living artillery, but that's the fate sealed going straight onto Slick Drake. Wild Growth onto him, and that is the impale onto Kakari, but it's not enough. Arrow goes a little bit wide. Can Slick Drake keep himself alive? Looks like not gonna be able to do so. Flaming Thunder might go down in the end to that passive. The fear goes down onto Kakari. He will finally be going down. Ewok picks up that kill, 1 for 1 at the end of the day.
1 for 1. I don't think Slick Drake was actually worth any shutdown gold, and he didn't burn any summoner spells. So I think that's still okay for both teams. I don't think anybody is really upset about that. If anything, Kakari not having flash is pretty important. So I would say maybe Shadow Mustangs get the better end of that trade, but not really a huge swing one way or the other. I will say that going forward, it's going to be hugely important that Slick Drake does not get picked like he just did. Whether he has those summoner spells or not is going to be huge. You know, the flash, the cleanse are big. The wild growth from Green Ninja is big. He's got to stay alive. He's got to stay safe because moving into these next few team fights around dragons, around barons, he is going to be the primary carry for Shadow Mustangs, as he has been. He's really the only one on this team that can burn through that tanky front line of Flaming Thunder, of Jaywalker. He also shreds Kakari and Valexia and Ami. They don't live very long at all if they are getting spit on by that living artillery or by that W. I forget what it's called. Let me check in 1 second. The Bio Arcane Barrage. Okay, I'm not saying that his W.
Everybody knows that it's called by W. Also, we have an Impale in the mid lane. I don't love this play. I don't think you need to be impaling the Ornn, but the fight is going to commence. Nonetheless, Ewok going to get blown up immediately. Stormbringer, Slick Drake in the front line, though. Not going to be able to survive. Just too far forward. Wild Growth on him. He'll survive for a couple of seconds, but it's not going to be enough. Alexia now just running rampant through the fight. 13 Green Ninja's going to likely be going down. It's a triple kill for the Ash as Shadow Mustangs just fall apart in the mid lane.
3 for nothing. That's pretty devastating, right? And Baron is alive on the map. Multiple DPS champions on the side of ImPerium means if they want it, they can have it. There's nothing stopping them from taking this Baron. Wokian and Merlin can try, but in a 5v2, I don't see it happening. I don't see any sort of defense mounting here. And that's huge, right? Baron this early on can be a death sentence for some teams. It's not likely to be the final nail in the coffin, but it does mean third dragon probably going to go over to ImPerium. A couple of these outer turrets probably going to go over to ImPerium. An inhibitor or two might get broken open going away of ImPerium. Although this Baron is taking a while to burn down. Wokian is nearby. He's got flash. He's got smite. We could look for a steal, Carl.
Goes over the wall a little bit too early into the infinite duress, but the smite not going to be available. They just didn't have any vision over the wall. Baron in favor of ImPerium Academy. Dragon in 45 seconds.
Ooh, I think a misplay from Wokian. Like, I get that you don't want to give the Baron. I get that is scary, that's a big objective to give away, but you don't have vision. You realistically cannot hope to steal that, and especially with Dragon spawning soon. Dragon is so important. Wokian being dead means that Shadow Mustangs, they're trying to get here in time to rush this Dragon down, but it hasn't spawned yet. The vision is going to mean nothing because ImPerium Academy are about to arrive on scene. They're going to have Baron. They're going to have the numbers advantage. They're going to have a smite when Wokian is not alive, is not here, does not have smite. Shadow Mustangs are definitely going to have to just give this up, which, you know what? It's not the end of the world because this isn't Dragon Soul yet, but it's pretty close. This is third Dragon now going over for ImPerium. They are potentially 5 minutes from an Ocean Soul, and an Ocean Soul probably wins them the game. It's not definitive, but it's about as close to definitive as you can get without actually being definitive. It's a big deal.
It is obvious. It's certainly a huge deal. It wins pretty much any team the game, as we are going to see the fight here. Slick Drake able to escape from that, but once again, the Impale used onto a Jaywalker. I don't know why we're using Impale on the side of Shadow Mustangs, as, the stun completely bungled there by Merlin. Nobody was crowd controlled. A completely failed set of plays.
The mechanics have not been great. This looks more like the old Shadow Mustangs. You mentioned they looked like a better team. They look like a different team last game. They look like the Shadow Mustangs now. It's a little, some scuffed plays here and there. Still, though, not all hope is lost. Baron minions sieging Shadow Mustangs mid lane inhibitor turret. But for now, it is still standing tall. It is still standing proud. And I think maybe some questionable macro play from ImPerium. They are not Baron buffing any other waves. They are only Baron buffing this mid lane wave. It might make it a little bit harder for them to actually break open the base.
They want to go right through the mid. Merlin going in with a big stun and down. That's a lot of damage. Immediately taken out. Jaywalker is shut down. The fight is going to commence. Fate Sealed Ninjas has killed Emmy at the same time. There is the kill at the same time. I should say once again on the Yone. The name finally pops into my head. Kakari, Jaywalker, and Emmy are down. A huge turn of the game. Once again, SMU are not willing to just roll over and die.
Carl, they don't call it the NA ramp for nothing. That was a good engage, a good pick from Shadow Mustangs, but ImPerium, what are you doing? That is 101 how to not use a Baron buff. You don't just run it down mid. You have strong side laners, strong split pushers, double teleports. Kakari's teleport isn't up, but you have teleport on Flaming Thunder. Send Orin to the side lane. Send Kakari to a side lane. Get those minions Baron buffs in all three lanes. It makes it so much easier to break open into that base. There's so much more pressure attacking Shadow Mustangs. They have so many fewer options. They just get overwhelmed by Baron minions, but you're getting so much less value from that Baron buff when you're just sitting in one lane. You're not spreading out Shadow Mustangs at all. You're not splitting them up. You're allowing everybody to just sit on top of this Kog'Maw. He can dish out damage. You're just diving turret for like no discernible reason. There's not good siege on ImPerium. You don't have good siege. You don't have a Caitlyn. You don't have a Morgana. You don't have these things that can look to poke and harass from outside the turret range. You're just diving. You're just going in. And that is exactly the only way Shadow Mustangs really can defend their base there. That's exactly what happened. Shadow Mustangs, they get dove, they turn it because ImPerium weren't on the same page, didn't have the pressure. They only had that mid lane wave pushing in, and it was barely even under turret. And now, Shadow Mustangs, they pick up 3 kills for free. Slick Drake is now on his 3rd item on this Kog'Maw. They're in a much better spot than they were. They fended off the Baron buff successfully. They didn't lose any of their inhibitors. They did lose that Dragon, but that's about it. That's all that they got punished for giving up that Baron. And so Shadow Mustangs, they're doing just fine. Now they're going in.
Maybe looking for Valencia. That's exactly what I was going to call out. He has Flash. He has Impale. The cleanse isn't going to do anything. The AD carry's down. Shut down in favor of Merlin. Didn't have time. He's making my point for me. Ewok coming up with a huge pick. They don't have any minions, so the rest of this play kind of falls flat. But Valencia did die.
Well, Velexia did die. There's not any minions for now, but that's a 30-second death timer on Velexia, and the minion wave is about in the middle of that wave. It's coming. It's coming, Carl. And what's more, they have Tibbers. They have Tibbers take up that turret for at least a little while. There's a cannon wave as well in a 5v4, so probably Shadow Mustangs can pick up this turret here.
You've got to push your advantage. I do feel the call of the Forge God. You can't take a fight. You'd think surely Slick Drake's untouched. They're going to actually try to go in for this one. You just got to stand and fight if you're the Shadow Mustangs. You have an extra person. Slick Drake kiting down. He's going to be keeping himself alive. That's a double kill already picked up in this fight. They're coming up huge. Shadow Mustangs. Oh, the Living Artillery goes a little bit short as ImPerium Academy looks like they have just lost the thread of this game.
ImPerium Academy, they try to force a fight. In my opinion, just give the turret. Like you said, you can't 5v4. The only consistent damage source ImPerium have is this Ashe, and Velexia dead means you cannot fight because you cannot kill. You cannot kill Loki, and you cannot kill Ewok. You can't even kill Slick Drake. And now, 2 more members dead. Here we go again. They're fighting once more.
If you can't fight the 5v4, what makes you think you can fight the 5 versus 3? Valexia's gonna die immediately. Slick Drake doing so much damage. It's a double kill now for this Kog'Maw. Everybody's still alive. Baymax, what is happening in this game? It's a 5 versus 1. This could potentially be the end of the game in a quick turnaround. I think this will certainly be the inhibitor going down. They can peel back for the Baron. They can peel back for the Dragon. Shadow Mustangs have evened up the gold.
Shadow Mustangs in a very strong spot. Let me double check the timer on that Dragon. It should be up very soon, about 15 seconds. They're just transitioning to that yellow timer, that yellow hourglass, and now we're seeing a bit of a bush bait come through here. Shadow Mustangs, they say, well, we know you want this Dragon.
I think this is genius. They
know
know he's walking through as well. I think they just need to be patient. This could be huge.
I think, honestly, I think you just take it. I think you just take it on, if I'm being honest. 5-second death timers on Velexia. You don't want a team fight when Velexia and Emmy are alive again because there's still some low health bars on Shadow Mustangs. The longer you delay this Dragon, the more time you give ImPerium to actually take that Baron away from him.
Yeah, I take it back. Not genius. Do the Dragon. They've got to be getting it down. Jungler is here. He's going over the wall. Can he pick up the steal? No, he cannot. 3-3 on the Dragons. We're going the full distance, but the Jungler is now dead. That's Jaywalker down. They could look toward the Baron.
I think a misplay from ImPerium. I think Shadow Mustangs are going for that Dragon. They got low health bars. They're sort of licking their wounds after that inhibitor fight. Go to the Baron. Free Baron. It's not Dragon Soul for Shadow Mustangs. It doesn't really matter if they picked it up. Sure, it would have been nice for you to get the Soul, but you're not in a good position to get the Soul. Most likely, you're going to lose that Dragon. You're going to lose that Soul. You might even lose the fight, especially if Jaywalker is going in all by himself because he didn't have time to wait for his team to get there. Just go do the Baron. That should have been a free Baron for Shadow Mustangs. Instead, third Dragon, or should have been a free Baron for ImPerium. Instead, third Dragon for Shadow Mustangs. They are able to reset and look towards this Baron. They have bot lane pressure as well. Merlin in that side lane with a teleport advantage for his team. And Shadow Mustangs, they bait out the tidal wave as well from Emmy. They're in a good spot. They have good vision control. They have good pressure in this pit. I think they can take this Baron. I don't think ImPerium can stop them.
Merlin is trying to go for the teleport. He has now channeled it. I think this is a little bit preemptive. I think you either just don't recall or you can just walk yourself in. But he's going to go in for the pick onto Kakari. He has to flash himself over the wall. The follow through from Ewok. He is so tanky. Flaming Thunder in a lot of trouble as well. Slick Drake taking quite a lot of damage, but is still safe on the backline. Kakari has gone down before he can channel that ultimate. Slick Drake is staying alive. Runan's Hurricane starting to do quite a lot of work onto the backline. Emmy's going down. Jaywalker's going down. Velexia has to run as well. Taylor's doing so much work. This is a huge team fight win for SMU. Baymax, this game is just flipped right on its head.
Oh my god, 3 for 1. Such low health bars with Jaywalker and Velexia. That fight was, a half an auto attack for each of those members away from just being dead and the game being over. It being a wipe for Shadow Mustangs. A 2-0 finish right there, right then. We're not quite at that point yet, but another one team fight for Shadow Mustangs. Another Baron for Shadow Mustangs, or I think they're first of the game actually. They pick up that Baron. They pick up the team fight win. They pick up even more kills. So 700 shutdown gold now on Slick Drake, really 1,000 because you got the kill gold, the default kill gold on top of that. We're up to a 4th item now on this Kog'Maw. He's got his frozen mallet finish. He's got a Vamp Scepter as well. I'm guessing he's building into a Bloodthirster. So
or a QSS.
Or maybe a Q. Does QSS build from?
Yeah.
Is it Vamp Scepter? Yep. Am I crazy? Okay.
Vamp Scepter, Pickaxe, and QSS is a Mercurial Scimitar.
Okay. All right then. I think the QSS probably just be better, honestly. Just get.
I agree. First. Oh, that's 1,300 versus 900. Maybe didn't have the money. Not sure.
Yeah, probably didn't have the money. Okay. Anyway, he's got 4 items. He's strong. He's hard to kill. He's still got both sums. I think it's Shadow Mustang's game to lose at this point. They're pressuring this bot lane outer inhibitor. Mid lane inhibitor is dead. So that Super's sort of flooding into ImPerium space, pressuring them all by themselves. Baron buff in the pockets of our red side 2-0 heroes here. It's up to them. This is it. This is the last stand for Imperium. They have their backs against the wall. They're down 0-1. They lose this game. They lose the series. They lose second seed. This is it, Carl.
Yeah, certainly could be, although it looks like the Shadow Mustangs are just going to walk themselves away. So they're going to keep building the tension. They're just going to go for the next wave, I think, actually. Tell all I on this one. They have,
so
yeah, you walk at the top. Yep. Absolutely. They got a couple more waves, 2 or 3 more waves of Baron empowered minions. Ewok unfortunately does not have the Baron, so that's a little less cool. But it is still a lot of pressure, right? He has the Trinity Force. He's very, very dangerous to those towers. He's left unchecked right now. He could get a tower.
Yeah, so far we do see Flaming Thunder starting to warm up to answer him, but teleport advantage is in favor of Ewok, so if fight starts, he'll get there a little bit quicker. Also, he is shredding this turret. It's already almost dead. I think he's just going to tank a Flaming Thunder and take it pretty soon anyway. Next wave.
Yeah, we still have another 2 waves of Baron minions, 1 more minute of that buff coming through, and they are very, very strong right now. They can definitely get a lot of work done if they're able to go for the fight. As we've seen, this Kog'Maw, very scary, and he has flash and the cleanse.
I think it's a slight mistake to not have Merlin mid lane buffing those minions, but maybe not.
I mean, they're just killing the other inhibitor, and the arrow went out. We saw Valencia whiff that one, essentially landed it onto Merlin, but didn't get anything from it. Baron, another 30 seconds of this, I do believe, in the bot lane. This is going to be 1 more wave. This has to be the wave they try to get something done.
Well, they already got something done. They got the top lane inhibitor. Mid lane inhibitor's back up, also being threatened here by Ewok. So, you know, the walls are closing in on Imperium, right? They're slowly bleeding their base. Baron buff did just run out, which is going to make things... Oh, no, didn't quite run out. It's going to run out soon, which will make things a little bit easier.
I think you just go for the Soul Baymax.
We're not there yet. Oh, here we go.
They're going to go for the fight. This might finally be the time that they pull the trigger. Slick Drake, watch for him. He is still safe on the backline, but he gets ulted up by the Yone. This could be a disaster. Can he cut out? He picks up 1 kill. He's trying to go here. The other triple kill already. He's trying to put the team on his back. This could be the pentakill for Slick Drake. He's flashing forward. He's trying to go for more. He's picked up 3. Can he get 4 onto Emmy? Living Artillery comes down, missing that one. He does have the range, though, in front of her. 1 more could be enough onto Flaming Thunder. They're just running for the hills. Slick Drake, the god, carrying his team through this comeback. This could be the end of the game. They're just waiting for the next wave.
I don't think it's the end. They're going to back off. They're going to go to the Baron. Their health bars are too low, and there's 2 members of Imperium still alive, but no jungler, which means this is basically a guaranteed Dragon Soul, which, like we said, almost a definitive win if you get your hands in that Dragon Soul. Although Slick Drake lived, he did well in that fight, but he had to burn his flash, and if Imperium get on him in the next fight, his flash being down means that Shadow Mustangs lose the fight. They lose the fight if Slick Drake dies. And that's definitely something that could happen, right? We still have a flash on Valencia. We're going to have flashes on Jay Walker and Gakari in just a few seconds. Those champions are very, very good at picking squishy 80 carries. And the later we get into the game, the less the Ocean Soul itself actually really matters. The healing, you know, as the damage numbers get higher and higher, that little bit of healing and mana reduction or the mana regen that comes in, like, it's still nice, but it's not nearly as fulfilling in the middle of those team fights because the damage numbers are just so high. You get melted so quick anyway. Now, there's a bit of a tanky build coming through for Slick Drake. It wasn't the QSS, it wasn't the Mercurial Scimitar, it's the Death's Dance that comes through for him, which I think is huge, right? Building this sort of tanky, bruisery style Kog'Maw where you have Frozen Mount and a Death's Dance. I think that's actually really good with an Ocean Soul because it helps complement that healing very nicely. I think I'm curious to see how well it works out for him in these fights. He's still doing a lot of damage, and he
doesn't have flash.
I think because he doesn't have flash, that could be really, really big. Still though, 5 members of Shadow Mustangs.
There we're going into this fight. Merlin has already picked up the kill on the 80 carry, and that has to spell doom for this team. The double kill now for the captain of the Shadow Mustangs Unleashed. They are trying to avenge the previous 2-0 defeat. That's the engaged Fate Sealed, but it doesn't quite land on his Slick Drake. He is healing himself up. Will he stay alive? Yes, he will. Gonna burn down a little bit from the Death Stance, but it's not gonna make any difference. Ewok just running through the base, dodges the Aqua Prison. He's on to Emmy. He's picked up that kill. It's just Flaming Thunder. It's not gonna matter as Imperium Academy. They looked like they were on the verge of taking us to a game 3, but now they are on the verge of being defeated 2-0. The Nexus Towers are under fire. There is nobody left to defend against them, and it is the Shadow Mustangs Unleashed in 2-0 fashion, securing the 2nd seed in the Demacian group.
You know, it wasn't as clean as the first game. It was a little sloppier. It was a little less precise, but you know what? A win is a win. Shadow Mustangs, the 2nd seed from Demacia, now moving into that playoff spot. They are going to be, like you said, safe from relegation, safe from being safe from having to face that top place team. They're gonna be just fine, just happy with how those games ended up turning out for themselves. Imperium though, Imperium did mount a little bit of a comeback, right? That was definitely a closer game than the first one we saw.
Yeah, certainly was. I mean, it almost was a win for Imperium Academy. Talk about close. That was very, very close. You know, that one like botched NARAM, I think, essentially away from Imperium Academy taking this game and pushing us to a game number 3. Honestly, the Shadow Mustangs did not look great in this game. Slick Drake finally got strong enough. They weren't able to take him down on the side of Imperium, but this game was, you know, very, very close almost until that NARAM at the end. I mean, this was a close game for 32 minutes.
Honestly, I don't like to say this, but I think it's true. It felt to me like in the first game, Shadow Mustangs played uncharacteristically well. And in the second game, I would like to sell this as the story of Imperium sort of clawing their way back into the fight and playing better and mounting sort of a comeback story. But in my mind, it was more like Imperium dragged Shadow Mustangs down into the mud with them and said, now we're both going to play worse. And the Shadow Mustangs still ended up coming out on top, but it wasn't by all that much. And it was almost a comeback for Imperium, but not quite. Shadow Mustangs still pulling out a win. I am like you said, I am concerned for this Shadow Mustangs over the first Shadow Mustangs. I'm worried what we're gonna get from them moving forward if they don't have those sort of comfort champions available to them. Because like you said, this was, in my opinion, very messy and not really a game to be proud of. The first game, 100%. Yes, the first game was very clean across the board. There were some minor mistakes, but overall, it looked so good. This game, total reversal. A lot of big mistakes that just didn't happen that first time around.
Indeed. I think they it looked like they got what, to my mind, I think should be their dream comp. The way that Shadow Mustangs want to play. I think every time they have a really strong front to back, pretty standard team fight, right? They have the Zaya Rakan, they have the Malzahar, and then the Olaf ripping through the team, big tank in the top lane. Very standard team fight comp. Shadow Mustangs look really clean. They always look really coordinated, strong early game. When they play for the scaling comp, they always look a little bit worse to my mind, right? You know, Merlin getting caught out a couple of times, Slick Dre, it takes so long to get online. They look like a very lost team until they're able to just win those 5v5 team fights. So I think for them, it might make a little bit more sense to start looking for more front to back team fight comps instead of trying to go for the scaling, because eventually when they're in a situation where they win 5v5 team fights, it seems like the Shadow Mustangs, sorry about the mic, the Shadow Mustangs do a ton of work. They look very good, they look very clean, and when they're not in a position to win 5v5s, they look lost, they look like they don't know how to scale. And so I think that maybe is something for them to look at going into these playoffs, is maybe changing up their drafts a little bit, because I think they're kind of dedicated to this scale style with the Cog Lulu. I'm just not entirely sure that's the comp for them.
All right, I agree. It's hard to say for sure. I haven't seen as much of the Mustangs as you have. I have sort of, I know I've watched other games by them, but honestly, my recent memory is just this. This is all that I remember. So I'm probably not the best person to be saying, you know, what they should and shouldn't do moving forward, or what their strengths are, what the weaknesses are. But coming from these games, to me, it looks like, I think you're right. I think the Shadow Mustangs as a team do better when they're playing around. When they're playing from positions of power early on in the game, when they have pressure in their lanes, when they have tools they can use to find advantages early on. I think that's when they found a lot of success in game number 1. They played around those tools well. I think game number 2, those tools were not as clear, and so they struggled a little bit. But we'll see if that's something they can sort of get control over as we move into playoffs, because we are basically done with the regular season here for Style Esports. We got a couple more days left. I think tomorrow, tomorrow's
the last day.
And then the Saturday, we're moving into playoffs. Playoff time, baby.
Yeah, we are almost set to go. We have 16 more days of Style Esports season number 4. I want to take care of a little bit of housekeeping in the Demacian group. Just to kind of recap, Dragons of the West, very strong split. They went 5-1 in this group. They're the number 1 seed. Shadow Mustangs Unleashed, with this win, pushed themselves to 3-3. They end up as that 2nd seed in the group, and then Imperium Academy and Pending Gaming are those 3rd and 4th seeds. There's no distinction between them because Dragons of the West will select one of those teams to play against in the semifinals. Shadow Mustangs Unleashed will get the other of Pending Gaming and Imperium Academy. So we'll have to wait for that selection. You'll find more updates about that in the Style Esports Discord, which you can check out below the stream, as well as our website, YouTube, Twitter, and music credits. We will have 5 days of semifinal games. We will have followed by 5 days of finals games. Those will be best of 5s. and then followed by 5 more days of relegation promotion best of fives as these teams fight to move up the ladder here between the different groups in Style Esports for season 5. So we'll have 15 days, 2 weeks of playoffs coming your way starting on Saturday. The last game of the regular season is tomorrow evening. We hope you will join us for that one. We will announce that game relatively shortly once we consult with some people around here, but check out the Discord for updates about that. We hope to see you there, but for now, I think that does it for our broadcast. Baymax, thank you so much for casting with me, and welcome back to the Style Show. On behalf of us and our gracious host, Tori, tonight, we want to thank you all so much for watching, and we hope we will see you next time. Good night.